This is our fifth session on AI for environmental consultants or environmental professionals. And I didn't intentionally do this background of having the Northern Lights, but I kind of like it. And I was out in the sun, out working at our ranch the last several days. So my face is looking a little red. And I think as I've aged a little bit, you tend to get a little bit more of that red tint when you're in the sun more. But anyway, we're going to go through session 5 today of the AI for environmental professionals. And this is also going to be some question and answer when we're all done with that presentation. And there's every kind of I've had to click 3 times to tell it that yeah, I know it's being recorded. Yes, I know it's being recorded. What's new in your life, Mark? Mark was having some problems with his microphone yesterday. I think he's got that resolved.
Yeah, I was having all kind of computer problems and then a bunch of issues with drivers. I had to update the drivers and restart computer, and then it works now.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we're going to get started in our presentation on AI for environmental professionals. And this is session 5, and it's going to be workflow. So AI workflow today. And there'll probably be a little bit of some demos that I do. But next week, we're going to have a considerable number of demos, because next week I'm going to talk about geospatial AI. So not just using AI for writing or knowledge-based types of skill sets, but physically using it. So, and how does that work in the environmental sciences? So using drones, using LiDAR, using detection devices that are aerial other than on drones. And so I'm going to give you a little glimpse of that today also. And then that will be what is more specifically next week's. And again, we'll not go all the way through the hour with this presentation. So if anybody's got questions or comments, put them in the chats. If you'd like to raise your hand and have us unmute you, we can do that also. But again, it'll be after I've finished this presentation. So I will share my screen and we'll put that up here just a second. Right now, you're just seeing Zoom. And I need to, all of a sudden now, it is so discouraging at times, because I usually have a button bar at the bottom of my screen that shows all my PDFs, and now it's not on my main screen. It's over on a different screen. So there it is, but we got it. And so we're going to go away button bar so I can see where I can start the presentation. So what happens with Zoom is it's got its button bar right now. And I don't know how to move it, sitting right on top of all of you can see the top of the Microsoft presentation here, but I can't get to the clicks. I can't click on anything because it's above my stupid bar. Go away, Zoom. Oh, there, finally it went away. So I want to go presentation. Why is it not right here? Let's go home. Transition, design, draw. Come on. Oh, there we go. Slideshow from the beginning. There we go. All right. So again, session 5, and today we're going to talk about building practical AI workflows. So we've spent a lot of time on prompting. We've talked about how AI is really a system of you as the person generating the AI or your team, and then the AI doing the lifting, doing the hard work. And in the case of environmental and ecological, we've talked about the kinds of things that you probably would use it for more than anything else. Proposals being one of those, site review being another, field notes, client communication. So what we're going to do now is sort of put it all together and talk about it as a complete workflow for AI. So in the past several weeks, the first 4 sessions, we talked about prompts and how you could use AI to create a prompt, but a prompt isn't repeatable. You've got to make your system repeatable. So you've got to think through the prompts and make sure that they link with each other to help you move the data that you get from one step to the next. So the cool thing is that if you get your initial prompt right, it will help. The AI will help you do the next prompts in the sequence. So that reduces administrative drag that occurs across recurring tasks, excuse me. It creates a stronger first draft usually, so it's better than what you'd have normally. And it knows really how to make something that's good for the client. So it's client facing, as we say. And then it allows you to standardize your quality without replacing your professional judgment. So you're still using your professional judgment, but it's doing all the hard, heavy lifting for you. So really, the biggest thing it does is it frees up more time from interpretation, strategy, and relationships, as it says here. So again, nothing new over here on the right. How do we use it? We use it in proposals. We use it in scopes of work. We do site histories with it, review and due diligence. We take field notes and site visit summaries, and we get it to give us reports from it. We do agency correspondence and client updates. We do report editing and internal checklists. So here's the sequence. Here's the workflow. And next week, I'm going to actually do a number of these in some case studies, and I'll even start on a couple of them potentially today. So the first thing you have is intake. You gather whatever the raw material is. And if you don't do that up front, you're going to get lost. You really want to make sure you've gathered the raw material before you get started. Just like if you're going to start to do something like I did earlier today, I worked on 2 generators that we use for our ranch site that we've recently acquired because we don't have a grid there yet, and we haven't got long-term solar or wind collection devices. So instead, we're using generators to generate our electricity. Well, I had some problems with 2 of them where I knew it was carburation, and I watched a couple of YouTube videos to help me learn a better way to deal with that carburation problem. I've dealt with it before, but they were helpful. Well, the biggest thing that they did was make sure you get your tools first. Get a number 10 sized wrench before you start. Have a Phillips screwdriver, have a flathead screwdriver, have a little wire. And it actually said use something that would be like you'd use for a tie down on a grocery bag to clean out the injectors in the jets in the carburetor. And again, if you don't have that all before you start, so the raw materials, it makes it harder as you move through the next of these steps. So again, the raw material in the case of reports and proposals and and all the things we talked about previously are probably notes, reports, emails, maps, sampling data, and any permit language that's important. So now you've got that all. Now the next step is you're going to organize it. So here's what's cool. You've got to do all that work on the intake. That's something right now that we don't have AI to do. Although we were having some discussion, we being some of the people I deal with on a daily basis, about how quickly do you all think we're going to be having our daily tasks in our homes done by robots? What's everybody's guess at that? I have two neighbors right now that do all their lawn mowing with robots, all of it. And a robotic lawnmower is twice as expensive probably as a traditional one today. It's not huge, where 10 years ago they didn't exist, and 5 years ago they were 10 times more expensive. But today they're probably only twice as expensive. And that is to where the AI is actually doing, in the case of the lawn mowing, some of the steps that would be in number one here on the intake, because these guys, both of their lawnmowers start in their garages and roll out of the garage and cross their driveways and onto their lawns and mow the lawns and put themselves away right back on their chargers in the garage. So that's not fiction today. That really happens, and that's something that you can do. So the next step, though, AI can already do. It can summarize. It can sort themes. It can build a timeline for you. It can create a checklist. It can do all of that. You don't need to do that any longer. And we've already talked about the drafting, and we've shown some of that previously. So that's the third step. It'll generate a first pass memo, proposal, outline, client email, as we said, or a meeting summary. It'll review them for you. Now, the key is going to be step number 5. You don't want it to do all that review yourself. By itself. You want to be involved in it. So this final step and the first step, the intake and the finalizing, are really your efforts. So you've got to use your professional judgment. And that's why being a professional in whatever it is you're working in this case, you are an environmental professional, to approve, revise, and deliver the finished work. So let's kind of go through each of these right now, and we're going to actually show some examples a little bit. So what you would do if you want a really strong first draft is you would start with a blank page and take that to a first draft. And you would do that by feeding the AI, whatever AI you're using. And I'm going to show at least one new AI system that I've been using in just the last week, and a second one that I think I was using last week when we did our aborted session 5. I don't know, for those of you that were here, you know that I had huge problems with ChatGPT last week, and it made it almost impossible because I used ChatGPT, a form of AI, to help me with this presentation. And it was just not working right, which, by the way, another one that I use is called Base 44, and Base 44 is not working well today. So that's the other thing you've got to make sure you think about when you're using AI, is make sure you've set expectations to where you know that it could be that you don't get the results that you want in a timely fashion because it's going to break down for you. So you got to be careful about that. So again, start with the blank page. You feed the project context, client, site type, location, known issues, schedule, and assumptions. You ask it, this is what you're now doing with it, for a proposal structure. You ask it being the AI, Does it have enough information to understand it? Does it know what you want for the deliverables? Does it know what you want for assumptions to be? Does it know what your schedule is? And does it know what you want to exclude? So you got to tell it all those things. After you've made the first draft, you're going to get missing questions, things that you should have asked before you do a second draft. So that's where you're going to do a concise first pass in your firm or your individual, your tone. And that's something that all these AI models ask you for when you first set them up is what is your tone? What is your writing like? What is your speech like? What are the things that you want to provide to your customer that is you, not some AI? And then again, I'll always review it for the technical accuracy, any liability language issues, and obviously the fit with the actual project. So if you do this right, the payoff is going to be much faster than what you would have done it previously. Much more consistency if you're using a team to help with the work. A cleaner scope language and fewer omissions, so less mistakes. And more time for the end of the process, which is if it's a proposal, so that you can, think about what you want to price it and what the strategy is as you present it to your customer. So it helps you go from 0 to 60, as they say, faster. But here's the part that's still very important. It's your judgment that gets it from 60 to 100. So remember, we're taking different use cases here. And so the first one was really at the front end of a project, but the next step would be in workflow is what if you have a very complex set of information? What AI can do is make it more understandable. I'm going to show an example of that. And it's going to be experimental because I have not done the analysis of it yet. It's going to be something that we do together. So it will take a very complex document and summarize it. It'll create a timeline for use, property use, and prior environmental activities. So this is what, if you've got that kind of data, it'll flag likely environmental concerns or follow-up issues. So it'll do things that you would do normally. It'll list what documents that you have that are missing. So it'll tell you that. And it'll draft some kind of an internal briefing before you're going to submit it to a customer. So this step, it's really helpful in. It'll sort volume, patterns, and it'll generate follow-up questions, and it'll really help you with cleaner internal summaries. So it truly is a force multiplier, but still, remember, it's not a substitute for your expertise. So now a third example is when you turn rough observation into usable outputs really quickly after you've visited a site, let's say. I will tell you, if you've done field work ever before, the biggest mistake you make is letting a lot of time pass between the time that you collect the data and that you then do the analysis and write the report. If there's a lot of time, and a lot is relative, but let's just say, in my own case, 2 days ago, I collected water flow on a stream on a property that I'm working on. I have not yet done the analysis of the raw data that we collected in the field. I've already waited longer than I should. I really should have done that yesterday. I just didn't have the time and didn't take the time. And so you really have to make sure you do things using AI or using your own professional judgment in a good time frame, a short time frame after you've gotten the data. So what is the data? It's the raw input, your handwritten notes, it's photos, dictated observations, sampling reminders, all that kind of thing. What's the AI support? Again, the summary we talked about earlier. Observe conditions that you get from AI rather than make yourself. It'll come up with action items for you, and it will update language that you're going to use with the client. And then finally, again, it's always going to end up with you again. You need to be verifying the accuracy, adding your own nuance, the way you would write things normally. You need to confirm that recommendations are accurate, and then you need to issue whatever the final version is. Interestingly, this step, not the first two, is where a lot of people start because you see more time savings here than either of the two previous workflow examples. This is, as they say, beating a drum, maybe too much, but you can't beat it too much because I have seen horrible examples of people just relying on AI rather than having the human review that is still essential. It's necessary. Use AI to assist, not to certify. We, the environmental professionals, own the interpretation. It's our responsibility and it's our final decisions, not AI's. Your client could care less about AI. They hire us to do what we do. So what can it do wrong? We've talked about some things, but just going to repeat a couple. It can miss local context. So whatever rules are in place for Ohio may not be in place for California. And if you took what the AI learned from Ohio, it's going to probably screw up in California. AI can sound confident. It always does when it's wrong. That's something you've got to watch. It can omit the one issue that matters the most sometimes. So you always have to verify facts, verify dates, verify site-specific details, make sure that regulatory language and jurisdictional context are accurate. You need to know what the technical conclusions are going to be. You need to know what the risk statements should be. You need to understand the confidentiality you have with your customer and what are those things that you were working on that are client sensitive and what aren't. And then finally, is that output really usable? So, final line, polished language doesn't guarantee correct analysis. So we're always going to come back to prompts. I'm going to move this camera just a little bit here. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a little better. If you start with a bad prompt, garbage in is garbage out. Okay. So what's the role? The role of the AI is to help you. So remember that. You need to know the task. AI is not going to know that. You need to know the context. AI is not going to know the site, the client, the purpose, and the audience. You have that. You need to know the constraints. How much data do you have? Where is it from? What are the limits? And so on. You need to know what you want. You want a memo? Do you want bullets, a checklist, email, or outline? That has to be told to it through prompts. And then finally, you need to review and double check what's there. So we're going to do this. I'm going to copy this workflow prompt. You know what? I actually can't. I get it back up to, yeah, I didn't need to do that. Let's back up. Get it back up here. Um, I actually thought, and I guess I can do it here. Yeah, here we go. In the presentation mode, I can't copy and paste. So I'm going to copy this to be a prompt. So let me catch a breath for a second. Mark, do you see any questions, comments about, again, AI and environmental work that I can relate to? Other comments and things we'll talk about after this.
Yeah, Alicia has a question about the regulations, why regulations matter in AI. She's got a video up here talking about regulations. Should AI be regulated? Well, that's her question.
Well, that's cool. I mean, is it, I'm not, since I haven't looked at it, I don't know what it specifically is, but so again, is your comment that there are now specific regulations that are regulating AI and that's something that's new? Is that what she's saying?
Yes, she has several other comments of how AI is growing fast, and so they're concerned with security and everything. So yeah.
So we're gonna use three different large language models to I don't know why we're going to use base 44, which is not really a model, but it's using large models. And this is an agent that I've created that I call Wilma. And I think I've mentioned that in the last couple of weeks, but we're going to just post this in and we're going to have Wilma. All right, it didn't copy what I had there. Why did it not do that? Let's go back here. Copy. And I didn't mean to do that. All right. I have no idea what it's doing here. That should just be there. Now let's see what it does. Okay, I copied that and it didn't put it in. Let's just do this one more time. B. Why does it keep putting?
It did that last time also. I think it did you hit the send button.
I don't know what it's doing here. This is weird. Again, it's actually froze. No, it's not frozen there. There, let's go back. Oh, I see what happened.
Yeah, it did.
I was in the wrong place. No, I wasn't either. It's just not putting my message in. Maybe it's because I'm copying it from a Word document, right? And it's not, that's probably what it is.
Right.
So actually I fooled it this time because I think I've got this saved as I think I have this in my drive. I think I took a step ahead here today and I've actually got this. Yep, here we go. I think I saved it. Oh, that's the remote sensing one. And this happens. This is I kind of like that I'm showing you this because here we are in the presentation. This is in Google Slides rather than, so I should be able to copy and paste it here on the slide. I think that was why it was doing it, Marcus, because I was actually on a whole different prompting situation using Word. There we go. Yeah, that was what it was. I was trying to get it to copy out of a Word browser rather than so it shows how Microsoft doesn't like Apple or doesn't like Google, excuse me. All right, so here it's going to do it. So this is on base 44. At the same time, let's put it into ChatGPT and have it do the same thing. Here we go. And at the same time, we're going to put it into Claude. And do it. And let's see which one gets done first here. So let's go to base 44. Here this is it's Wayne Dorvan's personal Wilma agent. It is where I wanted to put it, but I don't think that's interesting because I just put it here. I think I need to say. Weird, now it's not letting me type there. What the heck is going on now? Oh, that's right. Since I already put it in, I've got it. Now let's see. No, it still won't let me. Maybe if I copy the whole thing. There we go. All right, now let's go back to ChatGPT. Here it is. So remember, we asked for a proposal outline. The environmental consulting services, here's describing the project. I'm just quickly reading through it. It gives a scope of services. So far, I haven't seen anything that looks weird. Everything looks fine so far. Fairly simple to this point. It's got all the right steps. Now, remember, this is written for me. Remember, we talked about this earlier as a workflow. This is not something I would yet give to the client. This was written because look at the very end. I don't think I would be giving it these assumptions, the client. The schedule, I probably would give it. The exclusions I would do, but not this 5 missing questions before finalizing the scope. So notice it's even telling me this is not yet a proposal ready. We'll get back to that in a second. Now let's look at Claude. Claude goes through a multiple choice process to ask you questions. Let's do it both as a Word doc and so that it's asking me how I want it delivered. And so the first thing it's going to do is a Word doc. So Claude works with not so much with Google, it's a competitor with Google, and uses Word. So it's doing that Word document right now. And did I get anything? Yeah. Well, I did get something from base 44 now. Notice, notice it didn't even think this prompt sounds like me. That's interesting. And notice it's talking about the one thing about base 44 is it can handle an ADHD personality because I go all over the map in the same chat thread asking it questions. That's really significant. You cannot do that on ChatGPT. I was already in a thread here related to this session. This is for this presentation that I'm doing. So here's the thread, practical workflows. So it already knows we're talking about this kind of a topic. So it'll do it. But if I would have went to another one of my chats, you see a bunch of them over here. Let's say it's our local project here, Rockville Commons. It wouldn't give us the right kind of answers because it's got a different set of memory for that. So, but Claude and base 44, well, Claude has got its own too. It's a very straightforward, but here we go. It gives you something a lot more formal. Here's remember it's going to do the Word doc and it's going to do inline. But here's the phase 1 site assessment proposal. Much more formal. And it's made it to where it's ready to be delivered to the client with just minor modifications. Now, this one, it does just like the others. So this is a Word doc, but it's not meant. And again, Claude thinks that I'm still international risk group, which is interesting. And I've got to change what its knowledge base is. So there's a lot of mistakes in this, but still a lot of it's the right, and it gives me a really good idea of what it's going to look like. Here's a form to have it let's put that into Drive. I haven't shown you how you can do that. And actually, Claude asks you for permissions a lot, which I'm not sure why. It has to keep, I've probably done this 5 times today, giving it permission to utilize my Word doc. We want to go back to where we were here on. I think this is going to, yep, there it is. So notice it's got questions here a lot like Claude had. Oh, by the way, for what we're going to do next week, it is recommending that I use a new mapping program I've never used, which is called Copernicus. And I've always used Google products and Apple products and Waze and others. So this is going to be new. We're going to be using it and looking at this next week. Let's go back to the base 44. Here's the proposal again. Very similar to what Claude did. It's got exclusions. It's not giving prices. If I asked it to give prices, it would. I'm going to do that. Let's telling Wilma to use her knowledge of me. Fill in what you think pricing and timing should be. I'm saying use the give me. And so what, because what she did here was she left these open. Again, I'm just saying do more. I'm still going to be in control. I'm still going to finish it, but I want you to do more for me. My business context, okay? Well, Claude was done, I believe, so we can look at, yeah. This is a journal that I use with I put that in Drive. Let's go over to Drive. I don't think that's what it is. So let's go back to Claude. Let's download it, then I can look at it directly. So this will open it in Word. All right, here's what we saw. Remember, and again, it's got the name wrong. Here's something, so I'd have to be changing this to seed if that's what I was going to do it under, which I would here. Oh, you got to enable editing. You put the dates and all this in, all that makes it's fine. And here it's got I haven't seen anything else wrong here yet. This is again internal. So if this was actually the proposal, I'd take this out. I'm not going to do it right here. And this is a footer maybe. No, it's actually it's I could edit this. Well, you'd edit it anyway, but See any other questions, Mark? While I'm finished, I'm going to go back to the presentation, the actual slides in a second.
Okay. Uh, uh, there was one question. It says, why do we need AI suddenly?
Why do we use what? AI
Yeah,
what?
suddenly. So why
AI,
it
I still
became
don't understand the word after AI. AI what?
suddenly. So why?
Suddenly? Why
Yeah.
do we use it? We don't use it suddenly.
Okay. Uh, so actually, the question is why it became necessary, or why
It's
did?
not necessary at all. My opinion, I've said this very clearly. This is totally just Wayne Dorvan. Um, is that AI will be the biggest influence on my professional career when I look back at it after I'm totally retired or out of it, or after I'm dead and others look back. Bigger than the internet was, bigger than social media was. I am an early adopter, everybody. The vast majority of people in the environmental sciences have not adopted any form of AI yet, any at all. And
Right.
so we don't have to do any of this.
Yeah. Alicia has a list of things she wrote. I think there. I agree with a lot of these that she's putting in. A lot of good resources here. So yeah,
We'll put
appreciate
those in the
it.
notes. That's what's great. She does that all the time.
Yeah.
This would have taken me hours just to prepare what this did in 5 minutes. If
Yeah.
people don't think that's valuable for some kind of a tool, I don't care whether it's AI or what's the new term, by the way? Mark knows this because we talked about it earlier this week. There's a new description being used that's supposed to be the next version of AI.
Right.
I'll give you an example. This is for the rest of the audience. I'll give you the letter that it uses. It's S. So instead of AI, it's SI.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's see if anybody guesses it. And everybody can look it up on the internet and they'll find it. But so anyway, that's a Word doc. Uh, Word doesn't communicate that well with Google.
Yeah.
This
So
is
Doug says AI does well at report generation. Okay, good. Report generations. Uh, Alicia put data analysis and data. Uh, yeah, bunch of nobody put SI yet. Well,
SI is synthetic intelligence. So now we're going to go back to where we're at here. So this is what we just did. We did a prompt and a little bit of a workflow, not all of it, but that AI is doing for us, is putting together. So uh, it it drafted a proposal outline. It's got the project understanding, a scope, deliverables, assumptions, schedule, exclusions. It's got all those things, and it did what we asked it to do. So let's go from the current slide and keep moving forward here. I thought I had caught all the edits of things that I needed to change. And I know that here's one that just the only one I think of this should have been brought down a one line. So choose one recurring task and test AI in it for 3 or 4 times. So this is, don't try to transform your home business in one afternoon. Um, So we've talked about this before. Do a proposal outline, do a meeting note cleanup, do a site visit summary, do a client follow-up, do something on permit research or reporting. Remember, think about what it did well, what it did poorly, and what gave you the best result. So this is kind of the end for today, and we're still got 10 minutes left, so we can do a little bit. I've got one more example that I was going to show you, and this is with a spreadsheet rather than with a prompt. It's because I've actually already done it and I haven't looked at the results. So as AI becomes much more powerful, AI does become much more powerful when you use it inside of a workflow instead of just a prompt, right? So the opportunity is not just saving time, it's building better leverage, stronger systems, and clearer communication for real environmental work. So that's really what we hold the whole message here of this whole session on workflow today. So now let's go to one more example and be looking for questions, Mark, as we go away from this, because we're going to go back to uh, here. Oh, remember I told it to put in the real numbers. Wow, look what it did. So remember, here's what it did before. Here, it put in timing, but no numbers. Okay. So I then asked it to put in pricing and timing. All right. So 45 to 6,500. That's high for a phase one. And here she says the range is 3,500 to 8,000. So she landed in the middle. Probably smart. Phase two. Yep. I think that's probably smart. This is less than what my billing rate is. I bill at 250 to 300 an hour, but senior scientists who would do most of the work on this, I don't bill them at 145. They're billed at 100 or in some cases 75 to 80. And staff scientists are in the 60 to 75 range. It did do some thinking here. What's interesting is when I started using Claude, Base 44 switched over to using Claude also when it was not using it previously. So I asked it earlier, and I haven't looked at this result yet, but I asked it to take a spreadsheet, and here's the spreadsheet, and it's a mess. Look at how complex it is. It's got assumptions and notes. It's got equipment depreciation, equipment amortization, a revenue pipeline, a balance sheet, cash flows, all for years from all the way out to 2020, 2031. All that's good, but really hard to analyze. And the numbers are, huge, and there's lots of them. So I asked it to summarize it for me. So that's what we're going to look at here. It talks about a big equipment purchase, which is scheduled for next month. it is saying that margins of 70% of revenue is a tight margin. These rubble related projects over in foreign countries are a big part of it. And it it doesn't give revenue past 2029, even though the costs continue in 2030 and 2031. And I knew that was the case, and I wasn't sure why the person that generated this spreadsheet did it that way. So we're going to need to deal with that. So then I think I asked it at the end here to do it all to do it the way it should. So here's what it's saying is it would recommend building. I think I answered a couple of these. Yeah, DI. I'm going to tell it Abilene. Early to mid 2027. By equipment purchase until contracts are in hand. Do not start paying any staff costs until 3 months before revenues begin. Here's where the human element's coming in. Investor funds will be used to fund marketing, sales, and planning. We are hoping to raise 10 million. And the structure, so I'm answering his question, is open. All right, what else? All right. Now we can get that one. So the cool thing about base 44 is that I just switched right back to this now different project because I had given the one that we were using as our example for the phase 1, phase 2 here. And now I switched back to this Terraform project. So let's just see what it does now. And I think we're up against it. So questions or comments, Mark? Anything else new?
Yes, Doug says, please demo a voice prompt.
Please, what?
Please demo a voice prompt.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll do that right now. I should have done it before. Great question, Doug. Great comment, because I usually do use it with any of these three, Claude, ChatGPT, or Base 44. And if you use others, and I was going to show you a couple of others today, I ran out of time. I'll show them next week. They're made to where you could do voice prompt. But let's do one here. Let's go back over to ChatGPT. Here's a voice prompt. And again, you have to think it through a little bit. I'm just going to answer these first two questions. The planned future use for the property will be a data center, and it will be a highly intensive new construction redevelopment. There are no pre-existing environmental reports, agency files, or prior sampling. This is a greenfield site. And there are no existing structures that need to be demoed. So then you end it, and I screwed up. I should have clicked this other one here. I clicked the wrong one.
Right. Yeah, click the X
So
button.
let me go back to this. The planned use to the future use of the property is a data center, and it'll be a very intensive redevelopment. There are no existing environmental reports or agency files or prior sampling. The client does need a high-level risk review, and they need support through investigation. There are no existing structures on the site. I clicked the wrong one there, everybody. So there. Now it took that voice prompt and put it in here pretty accurately. And again, you should read it just to make sure, but this said pretty much what I said. So then you just click again. Now it's putting it in. So usually it is a double click process. So let's go over to Claude here. And notice it's got, there's two ways you can talk to these. One is by a specific prompt, and then let's go back to ChatGPT. Let me show you another way you can talk to ChatGPT. You can actually have a conversation with it where it'll ask you questions.
Really,
Right here. Doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you.
I'm doing great. Go ahead.
Share what's on your mind.
Yeah, let's keep working on this proposal for a phase 1 environmental assessment. Do you think you have all the information on that now, or what else do you need from me?
Good sense of where we're heading with things. But let's make sure we have it nailed in. Any specific regulations, agencies involved, we should should keep them.
No agencies right now, and the deadline is they really want something by June 1st.
No immediate agencies. Meetings have the proposal ready for June 1st. That gives us a clean. function of the school to ensure the deliverables. Anything in this some make sure we stay focused on it.
All right. Well, you have a good day now.
Thank you. You have a really good day too. And if anything else comes in, feel free to reach out.
That's scary, everybody, but that's the way it can work. And it is actually going to now be, it's going to be working on that prompt. See that? Look at this.
Voice prompt is a lot faster. You don't need to type.
You don't type anything. Yeah. And it works really well, Doug, and anyone else. And then I don't want to mess with Claude yet. I've not used it. I'm sure this looks like it's the same thing you use with Claude. Let's just try it real quick. So, how are you today? You know what? I guess it's not. That's not the same as Claude. I was thinking you worked the same as one of your competitors. I'm not even going to say who that is. You're cool. We're going to stop right now. It does not have that conversational mode. That when you click on this on Claude, I've not used the microphone before with Claude. It's the first time I did it, and it obviously is not. So it's not even done. It's not even reacting to me saying, "So how are you today?" Base 44 doesn't have conversational either. So, all right. Well, we are at the end today. You guys have been awesome as always. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Doug, for your comments and thoughts. Great questions, great thoughts. And next week, we're going to look at something other than AI in this sort of, I'm going to call it written and voice mode, but rather with equipment, with drones, with LiDAR, with a whole variety of remote sensing capabilities. So have a great week, and and I don't think we have any other scheduled outside guests in the next week, but we do have, I had a really interesting guy that I just spoke with that's working with NASA on the Moon and the Mars projects, and he's going to be a speaker for us in the near future. And then we have other speakers coming back, so that's going to be cool.